With just 7 days to go before voters caucus in Iowa, the battle between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders is getting kind of personal. Bernie Sanders calling her campaign desperate and accusing her of unleashing a professional hitman to attack him on, of all things, slavery reparations. It's an issue that was brought up during his appearance on Meet the Press this weekend. Watch it.
Why do you stop short on that issue?
Well, for the same reason that Barack Obama has and the same reason I believe that Hillary Clinton has. And that is, it is absolutely wrong and unacceptable that we have so much poverty in this country, and it is even worse in the African-American community.
You didn't answer the question why you weren't in favor of reparations.
Well, again, it's the same reason that the president is not, and I think
what is that reason?
Secretary Clinton is not. We have got to invest in the future.
Invest in the future and not look back at the past. Of course, in all fairness here, Sanders really didn't answer that question. But again, in all fairness, would Hillary? I mean, of course, Chuck Dodd didn't bother asking her any of that. She was on his show, too. Leslie Marshall and Brad Blackman are back with us. And Brad, you know, this is amazing to me that suddenly slavery reparations are becoming a way to go after Bernie Sanders. I mean, this is all coming from the Hillary camp. Her people got out there last week and started questioning Sanders and his view on slavery reparations. I mean, is this just total desperation on her part?
This is what the Clintons do. They're great at it. They're great at destroying people. They have made a cottage industry of a vast right-wing conspiracy. And when it's not a right-wing conspiracy, it's a left conspiracy with Bernie. So,
come on,
Bernie, welcome to the club.
I mean, is this actually something? I'd like to hear her on record, Leslie, saying that she wants slavery reparations. And I'd like to hear also how she's going to pay for all this. Do you think this is smart tactically, however, for her right now?
I actually do. I mean, if you take what is already out there in the media and you harp on an area of the votership that you have a huge lead, especially when you've seen Senator Sanders coming up a bit in South Carolina, where that firewall is, I believe, still very firm. I think it's legit. And quite frankly, not only did he not answer the question, but he did something that I always feel that candidates should never do, which is consistently mention the name of the current president who's not running for re-election or of their opponent. You want it to be about you. And if you didn't want to answer it, there is a different way to turn it. When he talks about poverty, and then he even admits that the African-American community are, you know, huge numbers of that in impoverished number. I think he could have answered this. He certainly could talk about how these people never got 40 acres and a mule, and if I were president, we would need to look at something, but the reparations that have been passed, I mean, perhaps he was caught a little bit off guard. We need to go.
But it seems as though he's also trying to turn this back on her. What I'm wondering is, as she starts campaigning more and more in South Carolina, Leslie, are we going to hear her say, you need to be given this, that, and the other because of our past in America?
I'm honestly not sure that she would, simply because she has such a huge lead on him with minority voters and specifically within the African-American community. It would also have to be something, as she herself has said, Trish, she needs to be able to sell this. And I'm not sure that she would feel she needs to sell it. The other thing is she has not come out against them. You even heard Senator Sanders say, I believe she feels this way, where he was much more adamant about the president certainly not favoring reparations. So perhaps the question should be asked of Hillary Clinton.
I think it's got to be asked
as to whether or not she would support it.
You know, as for a political strategy, I mean, it maybe lasts a couple of days, but Brad, at some point, some reporter somewhere, if she'll let them do an interview with her, is going to say, Hillary Clinton, do you believe in slavery reparations? And if she starts to say yes, that's going to go to the on record for what it is exactly that she does believe in. And I think she could probably take a big hit politically, I guess, from anyone who doesn't think that that's a sustainable path for us to pursue, given our limitations in this economy.
Look, shame on the Democrats. They're talking about poverty and oppression that happened over 100 years ago. Look what's happening today. 10 of our most impoverished cities are run by Democrats. It's rife with crime and corruption and dependency and drugs and dropout. And where have they been here and now. Bernie's right. It should be about the future. But the problem is the present. There is no future for these people. That's what they think, because they've been let down by the very people who profess to be caring for them.
The reality is this is the law of unintended consequences. I mean, really, you look at the Democratic economic policies that have been put in place, and hey, we all want to help people, right? I mean, we all share that goal. But if you're a single mom living in New Hampshire, home of first in the nation, you're getting roughly $38,000 a year from the government for staying home and not working. Now, I mean, people make logical decisions. And if I'm a single mom and I have a choice between going to work every day and having to figure out how the heck I got to get my kids to daycare and this, that, and the other, versus collecting a check from the government and I can stay home and take care of my kids, you can understand why a lot of women are making the decision to take that check, that handout from the government. It's nearly $60,000 that they get a year in Hawaii. And this, I think, Leslie, is an example of policies meant to do good, but actually hold people back. And we have seen this throughout the country, Chicago, of course, being the latest example. I mean, how do the Democrats spin a new economic message knowing that their policies have failed, Leslie?
Well, Republican policies and what they constantly propose is to benefit the rich. So obviously, any legislation you're going to pass to benefit the rich, using your example of that 38-year-old woman in New Hampshire, is not going to benefit her. Whether it is daycare, whether it is preschool, all of which Republicans want to cut, whether it's, hey, we'll give you some work training or paid education. Republicans don't want that. Or we will help you, and we will help you get off this program. If you remember years ago, we had former Governor Tommy Thompson, a Republican, and President Clinton, not Mrs. Clinton, her husband, a Democrat, wanting something that I was in favor of, which was welfare to work. That blew up. So unless we honestly have in this country, left and right, able to work together, then
but how do you have that conversation, Leslie, when you're talking about slavery reparations? How do you have that honest conversation when you're talking about more freebies and more handouts and we're going to pay you for the sins of the past?
Well, look at Senator Sanders. Even before the discussion of reparations, he is doing and has continued to do quite well running as a Democratic socialist, but also, you know, saying, look, we need free community college. We need free education. We need to just stop this income inequality. We need to stop Wall Street and corporate ownership of politicians. He's doing well. So obviously this resonates with people, and not just Democrats. We see independents and even Republicans who like Bernie, who do not like what Trump or Cruz are selling.
Yeah, I don't know how much it's about policy. Sometimes I think it also comes down to personality, and there are a lot of Democrats right now that like Bernie's personality and they like his energy, but if they actually looked really hard and they figured out most of their paycheck was going to wind up going to the government, I wonder if they'd rethink it. Brad and Leslie, thank you so much.
Thanks
Good to
so
have
much.
you guys here.